Hello, it's the 28th of September. I nearly said December then. My goodness me, the year's going fast enough without me wishing it away anymore. The 28th of September, should I say. This is Renew Every Morning. I'm Paul Anderson-Walsh, and thank you again for being with me. Well, today we're going to be thinking about what I'm going to call the cure for the false self, which I hope will be of help to some of you. Now, here's the thing. We're still working our way through the Bonsai Conspiracy, which was my kind of first book. And thank you for all the lovely comments and feedback I'm getting on that, because it's really encouraging, and I'm thrilled by it. But today I want to think more about this business, about this false self. And this is the reason I want to do it. We spend so much of our kind of life constructing an identity, don't we? My goodness me, I work in the world of inclusion. And we talk a lot about social identities, but identities are a massive issue for us. We build with bricks of achievement altogether, I think, many of us. The fact is we polish it with layers of approval, and then we defend it with the armour of reputation. So we go some distance to think about our whole identity. Yet somewhere inside we, I guess, know it's not really us. Not if it's predicated upon what we do as opposed to who Christ is and who we really are. And we know it's fragile, we know it's temporary, we know it's easily threatened, and we know it's the false self. But here's the good news. The good news is that the gospel offers us not just exposure to the false self, but a cure from it, which is wonderful. Well, first and foremost, let's start at the beginning. What do I mean when I use this language of the false self? What does that actually mean? Well, I think here it's the idea of, I suppose, who you think you have to be in order to be loved. Now, this is, if you've understood and ever experienced rejection, you will understand why this is such an important piece for us, because we want to be loved, we want to be accepted, we want to belong. So we choose our masks, the ones that we wear, in order to get by day. I always talk about the example from the movie Pretty Woman. And Richard Gere's character has his first encounter with Julia Roberts' character. Well, never mind what the transaction is for the moment, because the point is very interesting. He says to her, my name's Edward, what's yours? And her answer is just timeless. She says, what would you like it to be? And that's the false self. I'll be whoever I need to be in order for you to approve of me. So it's the persona you project so that people will approve. The inner voice says, don't show them the real you, it's not enough. I always remember this wonderful preacher. I wish I could remember his name, because I'd like to give him credit for this story. But I remember he came to the church that I used to be one of the pastors at, and he stood up on the stage and he said, let me tell you something. If I knew everything there was to know about this church, I would never have come. And there was a bit of a sort of moment where everybody they were a bit like aghast. Because we were used to being told off, because it was a deeply religious church, but this man was actually very smart. And then he said, but on the other hand, if you knew everything about me, you would never have invited me to come. And it was such a lovely idea. But that inner voice is always saying to us, don't show them who you are, don't let them know who the real you is. So Paul talks about this. I think Paul's phrase for this is the old self in Ephesians 4:22. And he says, look, I want you to put off the old self, which belongs what? To your former manner of life, and is corrupt through deceitful desires. The false self, you see, is corrupt not because it looks wicked. It's corrupt because it looks religious. It looks moral. It looks respectable. It pretends to be life-giving, but actually it's life-draining. And it's one of the masks that we have. And here we have a bonsai mask. Just think again about the bonsai tree. We always come back to this. That's the whole point of the book. It's pruned into a particular shape. It looks perfect, even at mine, but it's not free. It's bound. It's restricted. And that's what the false self is. A bonsai version of you. Pruned to look acceptable. Shaped to gain applause, but deep down, stunted. And here's the tragedy. Many of us spend our whole lives defending that little bonsai self instead of discovering the wild oak we are to be in Christ. So how does this false self operate then? Well, it thrives, I think, on three very foundational and very fundamental lies. Lie number one, I am what I do. Now, this one you got to watch for. Performance becomes identity. Success becomes self-worth. But what happens when you fail? Good question. Lie number two, I am what other people say about me. So approval now becomes oxygen. Rejection becomes death. But what happens when the crowd moves on? Lie number three, I am what I have. Yes, it's about acquisition. I remember buying a car once and it had a bumper sticker left in the back of it. It was a BMW and I was so delighted to buy it. So I felt king of the road. And there was a bumper sticker in the back of it that just read, the difference between the men and boys are their toys. And I thought, yeah, that's it. And I've got a man's toy. But is that right? I am what I have. Okay. Possessions, title, influence. What happens when they're stripped away? And God knows I know what that feels like. You see, that's why the false self is just so exhausting. It can't survive without constant feeding. Lie number one, I am what I do. Lie number two, I am what others say about me. Lie number three, I am what I have. I wonder if any of those lies have hooked you, have been bait to you. So what's the cure? Well, it's really beautiful. It's not more effort. It's not more pretense. The cure is very simple. It's union. Plain and simple. The cure is union. Paul says in Galatians chapter 2 and verse 20, I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I that live, but it's Christ that lives within me. Notice, watch this, the cure is not self-repair, it's self-exchange. The old self is crucified, the new self is resurrected. The false self is silenced, the true self is revealed. So then, we need some practices, I guess, for living the cure out in our own lives. And I want to give you a few things that will help you walk free from the false self. I'm going to give you three things, and maybe they're good things you can take and work on today. Number one, practice honesty before God. He's not Edward in The Pretty Woman. Stop telling him what you think he wants you to hear. Do you ever do that with your boss? Somebody asks you a question and you go, not what's the answer, what's the answer they'd like me to hear? Don't stop doing that. Don't be cute. Where do you think you're going with that? When you, what's the sense in that with God? It makes no sense, right? Stop telling him what you think he wants you to hear and tell him the truth. By the way, he knows anyhow before you formed a thought, and he knew anyhow. When you're afraid to say it, when you're angry, say it. When you're lost, say it. When you're just pissed off, say so. There's no problem with that. Don't get all so bound up and religious. It's important. You see, God's not going to heal the mask you wear. No. Only the you that you really are. That's what he's going to heal. So embrace belovedness. Before Jesus ever preached a sermon, healed a sick person or walked on the water, the Father said that something astonishing to him. You're my beloved Son, with whom I'm well pleased. He hadn't done anything. And that's because identity comes before activity. You see, belovedness comes before behavior. So begin every day with not what must I do, but who am I? Start there. Who am I in him? And number three, choose community over pretense. You see, the false self, it thrives on secrecy, wants to keep you quiet, because that's how shame operates. It shrinks honest, grace-filled communities. Find safe people and share your story and be known. Gosh, we had a conversation recently in our Grace at Home community where a few of us were just on that night, and we were just being honest about our stuff, just our stuff. Because when you're truly known and truly loved, the mask loses its power. So those three things, let me ask you to hold on to them, if you wouldn't mind. Practice honesty before God. Embrace belovedness and choose community over pretense. Because look, the cure is not cosmetic. The cure for the false self isn't cosmetic surgery. It's not about trimming edges of your bonsai to make it look better. It's about letting your roots run deep in Christ so that the oak can grow wild and grow free. 2 Corinthians 3, here's what Paul says. We all with unveiled faces, here that's the key, unveiled faces, beholding the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from glory to glory. Do you see that? Isn't that gorgeous? Unveiled, unmasked, face exposed. That's when the cure begins. So a final reflection for us then. The cure for the false self is not found in self-help. That would make sense, wouldn't it? It's found in surrender. Not in achieving, but in just receiving. Not in becoming more bonsai, but becoming more Christ. You are already loved. You are already accepted. You are already whole in him. So take off the mask, step out of the bonsai pot and breathe. Because the cure is not a what. The cure is a who. Christ in you is the hope of glory. And that, my friends, is the cure to the false self. So remember the takeaways. Practice honesty before God. Bring the real self, not a mask. God heals the true you, not the false you. Embrace your belovedness. Hold on to that. Identity precedes activity. Start each day remembering who you are. You're already loved and you're already accepted. And finally, choose community over pretense, because the false self withers in honest, grace-filled relationships where you are known and loved for who you are. All right, well, bless you. Thank you for being with me again today, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. All right, God bless. Bye-bye.